How's everybody doing tonight? Let everybody roll in. You see it. Again, I'm gonna let a few people roll in. I know a lot of people going live tonight, so you see it. Oh, uh, Inspector General report right there. Common security weaknesses related to the protection of DoD controlled unclassified information on contractor networks. Right, so we're gonna dig into it. What's up, Operational Takeover? How you doing today? Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. Like I said, we probably jump on into it. You know how we doing. If you got any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, just drop them in the box and we'll definitely get to them. Oh man, I am tired. Shout out to Wayne Wallace. Appreciate the one. So we about to get started. Once again, you know how we do. If you got any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, drop them in the box. It don't have to specifically be about this. We can hit those and pivot back. If you had, once again, a specific question. Oh, so let's see. Up here at work, still had to support. I appreciate you, man. I just got off. I'm lucky I work remote, so I really just got done probably an hour ago. I'm just glad tomorrow's Friday, so I appreciate the support. A lot of those contracting companies hire people with little experience. I don't know what they're doing as long as they have a security clearance. No, that's true, JM. That's 100%, man. Once you get your security clearance, and two is, I'm gonna be a little nicer than you. They get a lot of people fresh out college, bill them at a crazy high rate, and like you said, they have little experience though. So you think if the contractors fail, they would lose some of their contracts or get reprimanded or something, or which is weird. So the crazy thing is, DOD, once again, I work for IRS. They're supposed to review the security of the contracting companies. So you obviously they're not doing a good job of doing that, which it's not uncommon. So once again, special report, and I'll make sure I put that link to that report in the description. I don't think I did that yet. I was thinking about it, but I haven't done it. So we're just gonna go through the report and just kind of hit the high levels of it and just kind of drill down and kind of figure out what's going on. I think JM hit it though. A lot of those contractor companies hire people with little experience, don't know what they're doing as long as they have a security clearance, facts on a security clearance. Just when I was leaving, I was great get a top secret. Then the contract I was working on kind of ended. It was weird because I was there for 11 years and like the last people were like, you don't have a top secret because I was on some highly classified boxes. So that made it interesting. So but long story short, I missed that DOD gig. So I might try to go back. Like I said, when I left, they were offering me a GS-13. So I'll go back and forth. Because you can work there. I think you can work there 10 years and get a partial. I think I might be mixing that up with the state, but we're going to hit the report and see what's going on out here in these cybersecurity streets. Like JM, let's see what's going on here. So I put the report number in the description. Report number DoD OIG 2024. Of course, that's the year 031. This was done November 30th, 2023. And shout out to the government. I do give them props because they do assessments and they do publish them, obviously, here. I mean, I'm sure they don't really have the vulnerabilities that they found on those reports, but what that happened. But once again, too, I like to go over these too because that lets you know what you need to do for your company and what you're missing when you're trying to do that DoD work or even that federal level work, because This is FISMA, and if it aligns with a lot of government contracts besides DoD, and I believe that's one of the most secure compliance if you do it right. Right, you got to do it right. Shout out to JM. We got to get that done right. So let's get through reading the article. Let's get into it and start digging in. The Inspector General a lot of times does the DoD assessments. All right. Once again, I work for the state, so a lot of states have state board of accounts do their assessments on all the state agencies. But for the feds, a lot of time it's Inspector General. Department of Homeland Security does a lot. TSA does a lot because I think they got the physical security from the last issue, which I'm still trying to figure out how TSA got that. Salute to my man, Portfolio.o. So let's keep going. Let's start digging in. So this is the executive summary. I love reading executive summaries. So the special report provides insight and common security weaknesses identified by the DoD Office of Inspector General, OIG. Audit reports through our support of the Defense Criminal Investigation Service, Department of Justice of Civil Cyber Filed Initiative investigations related to DoD contractors, right? These are the contracting companies that give services to DoD, once again, other government agency. With federal cybersecurity requirements for protecting controlled unclassified information, CUI, for some reason, everybody calls it CUI because you got to pronounce a three-letter acronym. It's not classified information, but information created or possessed by the government that requires safeguarding or dissemination controls according to applicable laws, regulations, and government policies. From 2018 through 2022, Department of OIG issued 5 audit reports focusing on DoD contractors' inconsistent implementation of federal cyber requirements for protecting CUI that are contained in a National Institute of Standards and Technology special publication 800-171. Basically, this is the security requirements for vendors, right? I've actually got the 171 document. We're just going to go over there and peek at it. But you as a company or you wanting to do business in the future, you need to understand this 800-171. So what is that? That's the security on your vendors to make sure you don't get hacked when you're doing government work. All right, we see hacks every day and all day. Theoretically, if you do 171, that will cut down your risk substantially. Since 2022, Department of OIG has provided support for five investigations under the Civil Cyber Fraud Initiative, which target government contractors, grant recipients suspected of fraudulent attesting to their compliance with NIST 800-171, the cybersecurity requirements. Wow, I didn't see that. So fraudulent attesting. So what does that mean? You say you're doing stuff you're not doing, all right? So when you do cybersecurity, they give you these bunch of checks, policies, and procedures. And a lot of times you self-attest and say, yep, we're doing that, sir. We tight. Our organization is cyber tight. But obviously, right, I'm gonna have to read that one again. They're looking for targeted government contractors and grant recipients suspected of fraudulent attesting to their compliance with NIST 800-171 cybersecurity requirements. The common cybersecurity weaknesses identified in this special report provided by DoD contract officers with potential focus when assessing contractors' performance and DoD contractors grant recipients with potential focus areas before attesting to their compliance with NIST 800-171. We conducted the work on this special report with integrity, objectivity, and independence required by the Council of Inspection Quality Standards for the Federal Office of the Inspector General. We do not make recommendations, therefore no management comments are required. Thank you very much. So Carolyn Gorman, Assistant Inspector General for Audit, Cyberspace Operations. So the crazy part is, are they going to take away their contracts? Are they going to sue them? Are they going to fine them? Or they're gonna do, we call them clawbacks, or you're gonna have to give them a refund because you falsely attested that you were 171 here, right? That falsely attest what you were doing. Right. Once again, we're going to skim a lot of this. So, like I said, October 1st, 2023, DoD had 180,562 active contracts with organizations for goods and services to support the delivery of goods and services. Many of DoD contractors process, store, and transmit controlled unclassified data. So, since you're doing that, right, you got to be 171 compliant. And a lot of times, too, once again, you're self-attesting that you doing this, saying what you're saying before. Long story short, I used to do this for vendors, and a lot of times I used to put questions in there that I know they probably wouldn't do because it was super hard and super expensive. So if a small vendor checked yes, I told my boss we need to be flying out there, right? Because I don't think this assessment, or and also an attestation attesting what you've done is correct. So what would that be? If you do FIPS 140-2 encryption, it's encryption approved by the government. That costs like $100,000. So if you got a small company, you saying using FIPS certified encryption, that looks a little fishy, right? PBO might have to come and see you, right? We have to pull up on them. I feel your Operation Takeover. Don't forget to hit the like button when you come in, folks. Yeah, likes are free. I appreciate you. Shout out to BDP. Go check him out. Go check his channel out. Definitely doing some great things out here. PBO wish he could grow some hair like my man, young B2B, man. But once again, let's keep rolling. So once again, they ran a report. They went out to a price of vendors that looked suspicious, and they wasn't doing 171. So what's the ramifications? And I'm sure they're going to dig into that. We could get hacked by China through third-party vendors, which these guys are. So if China hacks in through on their network and they're connecting to the government, right? That's a pathway for the hackers or the bad guys or the suspicious people, right, to attack your network. So that's why this is super important. That's why companies need to make sure they're at the proper level when they're doing security, so they make sure the United States is not in jeopardy of getting hacked, right? So they're failing. So let's keep going. We're gonna keep rolling. Defense Pricing and Contractors Office. I'm jumping around. Establishes DoD contract. Defense Federal Acquisition Regulations supplements DFARS, which requires contractors to safeguard DoD information. I'm not going to go out there, but if you look, especially government regulations, there's about 1,000 regulations of how you should secure data. At a high level, these are actually legal requirements. So NIST 800, 171, and 153 takes the DFAR requirements and make those into action items. So what would one of those action items be? You need to safeguard your data, aka use encryption. So if you look in 171 and 153, it says you need to use encryption in transit and at rest, and in actually motion and memory to encrypt your data. So if somebody get it, they can't read it. And also, what's the second layer of that? You got to encrypt the database, the app server, the web server. Shout out to the network guys. You got to encrypt your Cisco ASAs, right? You got to make sure you're doing encryption when you hitting the Active Directory, right? Multi-factor authentication encryption, encryption and hashing when you save your passwords, right? But when you look at DFARS, it just says protection, right? That protection equals the encryption when you get down to the nitty-gritty and when the rubber meets the road. Once again, if you got any questions, just put them in the chat. Tech or cybersecurity, we can pivot and come back. So basically what we're doing is what I do when I see stuff. I read it, then I kind of go through it, then I highlight things. Then in the clients I have, the jobs I do, the company I work for, I want to make sure everything they said in there they're not doing or at risk. The company I work for, future clients, make sure they're doing it. So obviously they wouldn't end up on the report like this. All right, so that's the goal. And two is we learning, trying to figure out what's the government looks for. What are these OIG looking for when they're looking for vendors, right? Shout out to Tam, shout out to Women and Linux. We always talk about forming companies, getting contracts. You as a vendor trying to get government contracts needs to understand this once again, so you don't end up on this list or people talking about you. So once again, NIST SP 800-171 provides contractors with security requirements for protecting confidential data. The DoD, specifically, contractors must implement or develop a plan to implement the 110 security requirements to comply with NIST SP 800-171. The 110 security requirements are grouped into 14 categories. We're about to look at those in Table 1. Right? So here's Table 1. So we talk about GRC. So what is GRC? This is GRC, right? We taking GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. These are the security requirements, aka the compliance requirements. We're going to make sure the IT staff has, once again, to make sure we don't end up on that report at the top. So we're just going to hit these at the high level. We're going to keep drilling down. Access control, awareness training, configuration management, identification, authentication, right? That's AIM. Incident response, maintenance, media protection, personnel security, physical protection, and risk assessment. Also, those two go together, risk assessment and security assessment. The risk assessment and security assessment is what the Inspector General did to these vendors to see if they were in compliance with 171, and it came back as that is false. They're not in compliance, right? So system and communication protection and system information integrity, right? So let's system information integrity, the description, the practice of monitoring networks, systems for security alerts, taking appropriate actions to address the alerts, and providing protection against malicious code. So in the real world, what would that be? All right, that'd be your malware, your EDR, your SDR, right? Extended virus protection, EDR, right? So that's Windows Defender. It's looking for malware. It's looking for IPs for bad guys. So, and two is logging those particular actions to see if those bad guys are trying to steal your data, right? So that's kind of where you take that requirement and roll up right there. That was the system information and integrity. So when a prospect responds to a DoD contract solicitation, the contractor must attest that they comply or will comply with the security requirements specified in a version of 171 that affects at the time of the solicitation is used. And a deviation from 171 requirements must be adjudicated, granted by an authorized representative of a DoD chief information officer. The contractor officer would work in coordination with the DoD chief information officer to grant deviation of that. So what is they saying? Basically, is the deviation is you couldn't do that particular security control that was listed above. Right. So then you have to write that up. It's called a risk assessment. I do those at work. Then two is a poem, create a poem, meaning when can you fix it and what day you will fix it. A lot of times too, you put cost on there. Right. So these vendors aren't doing that. So once again, they're failing to attest to they're doing the things they're supposed to do DoD type work. Once again, y'all got any questions, just put them in the box. I just thought I would do some self-studying online and just kind of go with the flow. So just let me know. Once again, you put any tech questions or IT questions in there. Once again, it's my shout out to B2B. He used to call them his working sections, right? Get on my working session. So this is what PBO usually does. Take some notes, see what's going on. Let's see what JM is saying. If a company partners or hires a SOC, will they take care of all these requirements? No. There are requirements the SOC does, right? So if we go up real quick, there's a lot of requirements in there that's really not SOC related, right? So incident response. So you got to do an incident response exercise, JM. So that's internal. If we ever got hacked, right? That the SOC's going to show us we got hacked, but we got to show that we practice. We know who to notify if we get hacked, right? So that's outside of the SOC. Configuration management. How are you keeping track of your configurations? How do you know when you got a bad patch you need to roll back? If somebody asks us what version of a particular software we do, right? It could be a CVE or attack on that certain version. And configuration management, we need to know all that. Now, audit and accountability, JM, that's where the SOC comes in. When you go through the Cisco router, it should log what happened. When you log into the database through Active Directory, log into Oracle database, all that should get posted inside your SOC, right? To Security Operations Center. And most of the time your SIM is in there, JM, but there's probably half and half. A lot, once again, the SOC is going to help you, but a lot of this are management controls, right? Security awareness training. You just want to make sure all your employees are trained at a certain level. So the SOC wouldn't take probably probably 30% of the requirements, JM. I would just think off the top of my head. A lot of these are management requirements, like personal security. That means you got to do background checks on your employees, JM. So now, not all, I'm probably 30%. Shout out to my man, Casual Economist. Have you read this doc? Now, this is my first time actually reading it. I probably would read it multiple times. I just saw it yesterday, to be honest. I was actually in somebody's Discord. Shout out to Dr. Ozier from Simply Cyber. I was in his Discord and somebody brought it up. So I was like, oh, I'm going online and break. I have not, but I will read it a couple times, Casual Economist. This actually is my, I skimmed it, but now this is my first time actually kind of reading through it. The crazy thing, I've seen so many of these Casual Economists from my risk assessments. I take risk assessments. I give risk assessments. So these at the high level, I've seen them. I just interesting to see that they're on DoD contractors. And those are probably billion-dollar companies, some of those. So that's what makes it interesting to me, Casual Economist. So let's drill down to the weakness identified in the report. Issue 5 audit reports. Once again, we're doing a NIST 800-171, which is for federal contractors and how they operate. Servicing 12 DoD components. The final report contains 116 recommendations for DoD component contractors office. Table 2 listed the 5 audit reports, the number of contractors accessed for each report, and the number of recommendations included in the report. So we're going to see at a high level. Give me 1 second. I got to let this old dog in my office out. I'll be back in 10 seconds. My bad. PBO's back. So let's dig in and see what we're doing. Let's see, let me make that a little bigger. Say for these contractor compliance, so that's number of contractors access. So you're not talking a lot. 3, 10, 16. Number of recommendations for security weaknesses. It doesn't seem like a lot. 118 down here, 80 seems a lot, but that was 2019. So hoping they get those fixed. Let's see. There's the 5 reports. Once again, I'm gonna put this link inside the description. So let's see what they're talking about. Networks and system not configured or locked after a period of inactivity or unsuccessful login attempt, right? That's just Windows Screensaver, all right? You can actually use Windows Screensaver. So some of these are so basic. You put $1 million contracts at risk because you're gonna have Windows Screensaver logged on, right? So that's the crazy part about a lot of this. So let's keep digging and see. Once again, if you got any questions, just put them in the chat. But that's actually just Windows Screensaver, network systems and configured. Yeah, we usually use Screensaver for that. On a database, a lot of times you can have a timeout after 20 minutes of inactivity. So it would just kill the session. Same thing with IIS or Apache. If you don't, if it's inactivity, you just kill those connections, right? Which is a simple configuration change. So that's the, once again, the crazy part. So let's keep going. System activity and end user activity reports not generated and reviewed. So every quarter or at least every 6 months, you should send system reports that show people logging in or log off, and you send those systems to their supervisors. Does this person still needs this system? What access does he need? Did he move on to a different job? Is he not on that particular assignment? Was it a short-term assignment and we need to take some of his access away? The scary part is when you get people that no longer in the company, they still have access, right? So that's the scariest one. But those where you should send the part out. Shout out to CL. I see on the CMC game. Yeah, facts. So, but you know, we like them stigs sometimes, CL. We used to have discussions on them stigs. Shout out to the stigs. Okay, let's keep going through these multi-factor authentication and strong password not enforced. Come on, man. You gotta have the MFA. That's on all the reports almost, man. MFA is so easy to set up. So once again, you got $1 million contracts and you don't have MFA set up. Those are easy things to set up, especially at a large organization. Or if you're in AWS, right, setting up MFA is super easy. So once again, those are the things from us when we talk about GRC or CTO, CIOs. Those are things we should be doing in the companies we work for and understanding from a security perspective. User account is not disabled after extended period of inactivity, right? You should go 30, 60, at least after 6 months. If there's no activity, you should be locking those accounts, right? And they should be automatically become disabled after a certain period of time, right? These are basic security checks that these large contracting companies wasn't doing. So let's kind of roll through there. Physical security controls not used to detect unauthorized access, right? Webcams, badges, like simple stuff. CU not protected on removable media. When we worked at a company, unless you had certain privileges, you couldn't put a USB drive inside of a laptop. It wouldn't work, right? So who are you letting use USBs? Who are you letting using CD-ROMs, right? Now, granted, you can still email a big file to yourself, but you know we're making it harder for you to walk out with it in your pocket. Right, network and system vulnerabilities not identified or mitigated in a timely manner, like we were talking about up in configuration management. What's your vulnerability scans? How are you tracking them? How do you know when you find one that needs to be updated? Do you have a vulnerability and patching process? Right, those are basic things that most companies have now. Right, those are just kind of things, but obviously these companies even at 2022, this one's 2023, didn't have those inside there. Networking system not scanned for virus or malicious code. Once again, part of the risk assessment, right? Everybody got EDR, SDR, everybody's scanning. A lot of people use Windows Defender. It's not the best, but at least you would be scanning for viruses. When the virus actually hits the disk, it would automatically scan. Those are checks are built in out the box, right? So as of October 23rd, 24 recommendations related to the contracting official office oversights for contractor compliance with cybersecurity requirements will remain open, some of which have been open for a while, as long as 4 years. See the appendix for detail of the 24. So we'll get to the appendix and see all of them, but you should not have a finding open for 4 years, especially non-listed there. None of those seem like they would break the network or shut down a system. Those were basic requirements. Once again, we'll get to the appendix and maybe drill down a little more. But once again, you got $1 million contracts and $1 billion companies aren't doing basic stuff, right? So I don't know, man. I thought some days I think we're getting better, and some days we're not, right? So let's see the weakness identified for the CFF assessment related to contractor compliance with cybersecurity requirements. So once again, OGA began subject matter expertise to support this. We reviewed third-party security assessments, cyber incident reports, security policies, security plans to assist DOJ in evaluating the contract compliance with, once again, NIST 800-171. Right? I believe that's a mid-level compliance, a mid-level lift, not super hard, right? So I think that's something those contractors should be able to do. Let's see, legal actions may include tribal damages and monetary penalties to reimburse the governments for the losses occurred. It's up to $27,000 per claim. Wow. When you say treble damages from a legal terms, that means you were tripled at 27,000, which is 60,000, right? Which for $1 billion company is, right? That's pocket change. You talking about Booz Allen, Arthur Anderson, Khaki, the big guys. So let's see if there's any questions. Company partner. Okay. No. Let's see what CL. Facts. Once again, if you got any questions, we're gonna keep it rolling. Let's see what some of these. Those were the 5 assessments. Once again, they keep showing the weaknesses or things they failed on in the test. So let's see where we're at. We talked about the strong password not enforced by access control. That was on assessment 2. And those, once again, are built into Active Directory. You could put password complexities on there, at least basic ones. Once again, I'm on AWS, so you can click a button and get that level of password complexity on AWS. Personal access to facilities and networks and systems are not controlled or monitored. Where's your badging? Where's your webcam? Network system and users activity reports are not generated or reviewed. Audit and accountability. Right, so logging, generated access, who's logging in, sending the users and their privileges to their supervisor to make sure they still need that level of privileges, right? So those are all reviews that should be happening inside your company or your organization. Configuration settings are not monitored to detect deviations from configuration baseline or unauthorized software for configuration management. So if you know what software you're using, if somebody downloads something they shouldn't, right, your baseline should show your unauthorized software you're using. Right inside of, there's a whitelist built inside of Windows that you could use to say these are only the softwares that you can run on this machine. Right, so there's a lot of things, basic things. Once again, they're not doing. User account not disabled. We talked about incident handling not tracked or documented for report. So you don't have to get hacked, but if you have an incident, meaning somebody got on your network, but they didn't get anything, you should be document that as an incident. Why? They got on your network, so we got to figure out how they got on there, right? But those are incidents like we're doing here. We need to be doing reviews and postmortems like this so the organization can get better. We can document and figure out what changes we need to do in our organization or division to make sure, once again, those things don't happen to us. And we should be documenting those. So once again, when the auditors come in, we can show them we're getting better. So network and system vulnerabilities not identified or mitigated in a timely manner. Network and systems not scanned for malware and malicious code. So these go together. We should be scanning. Once again, Windows Defender, relatively cheap. You can get it in. So when you open up a file or drop it on a disk, it's automatically going to scan. Then 2 is we should be doing some vulnerability scanning. Some of the most common ones out there are Rapid7, QualSys. There's a couple open sources out there. So it scans in it to tell you what it believes outdated software known to have CVEs control that you need to upgrade, right, to use your configuration management. Common weakness across the DoD from the audit reports in the Silver Cyber Fraud Initiative. Once again, multi-factor strong passwords, just a click away, system activities and user reports, disabling inactive users, which if you set up Active Directory right, it'll do that for you. After 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, it'll disable that users for inactivity. Now it's up to you to actually physically go out there and delete it, but it'll disable it for you. There's some things we're going to start doing, actually configuring stuff and looking at these settings from a GRC compliance. How would you actually set it on that particular box from an Active Directory setting, AWS setting? So actually just physically start looking at those settings. Physical security, network system vulnerabilities. Once again, scanning. So now we're to the appendix. Once again, see if anybody got any questions. Once again, we're just going through here to figure out what we can learn, what these big vendors are doing. For me, I hate this word. They weren't doing basic hygiene. I hate that word, hygiene. Basic cyber hygiene. These are basic controls. You would think a company that won a DoD contract would be doing this, right? Especially that one thing he said, one of those findings was out there for 4 years. That is unacceptable. What's up? Salute, glad you can join. So let's look at the appendix real quick. In 5 audits, we had 116 recommendations for DoD weaknesses. The following shows the number of recommendations. Man, I've been on projects where we had 400-500 findings, right? So you're talking about 116. That's across 5 big vendors, right? So those aren't big, but this shows you the breakdown. Act 17, access control, incident response, media protection, identification, authentication, configuration management, physical security. 2, if you actually go into the description, I got a NIST 171 video where I walk through how to set that up, how to walk through the families, how to drill down to the sub families and talk about these controls at a more in-depth level. So, but once again, these are basic controls and somebody should be fired. I'm just going to throw that out there. PBO usually don't say that. Somebody should be fired, right? Open recommendation by report. Those are things that need to be fixed. Action office responsible for resolving recommendation. Number of days the recommendation have been open. Right. So that shows you number of days open. Those aren't good. 122, 112. Right. The action office and the recommendation. Right. Once again, those are basic recommendation. Anything over 100, right? Wow, some of these are 586 days they were open for the Navy. All right. Oh, wow, 15. That's years. All right. What like they said, a couple of them been open for 4 years. All right. So that was the report. Real quick, we're gonna just touch on the 171 document, just to peek at it and drill. I'm gonna drop the link if anybody want to come up. Like I said, I just wanted to touch on that link to see, I guess how bad the the situation is. Right? We always talk we're a million people short in cybersecurity. To me, this is sad. These are basic settings. So let's just peek at the 171 documentation. I'm gonna probably peek at the index real quick and see what they were talking about. So you can see some of the checks in the 171. Make sure that comes up, make that a little bigger. So that's the 171 right there. That's what those vendors should be doing to secure their system. Protect controlled and classified information in a non-federal system and organization. And this is kind of the abstract for it. I'm just going to skim through it. The federal government is relying on external service providers to help carry out a wide range of federal missions and business functions using information systems. Many federal contractors process, store, and transmit sensitive information to support the delivery of essential products and services to federal agencies, providing financial services, providing web and electronic mail service, security clearance, healthcare data, cloud services, and developing communication, satellite, and even weapon systems. The federal information is frequently provided or shared with entities such as state and local government, colleges and colleges and universities, and independent research organizations. The protection of sensitive information while residing in a non-federal system and organization is paramount importance to the federal agencies and directly impact the ability of the federal government to carry out its designated mission and business operation. Right. So that's really what 171s provides. That's why you want these vendors to do the right thing, right, and get their stuff together. So let's see. I was going to just hit. There was a couple of high level, right? That's what we were talking about too. Basic security requirements. And that's what we were just looking on there. Physical controls, securely stored, limit access to the system, sanitize and destroy media. So these are the requirements those big vendors should be implementing on those systems so they won't end up on that report, right? Derive security, mark media, control access, control the use of removable media. Once again, those are the security families we looked that are in 171. Access control, awareness training, audit and accountability, configuration management, identification, incident response, maintenance, media protection, personnel security, physical protection, risk assessment, and system and communication and system and information. So once again, I'm just going, what's salute, Brother Michael. So really, I just wanted to hit that at a high level. Once again, I was I'm a switchback, appalled that we're not doing a good job in our vendors being secure so they don't get hacked, so our government doesn't get hacked, right? So I'm gonna hang out. Put any questions in there, tech, cybersecurity, anything else. I dropped the link if anybody want to come up. Once again, I don't know why this report. I wouldn't say it was bothering me, but it's I guess it's a little annoying, right? Because when we talk about cybersecurity, most people on my channel, I do a hack every other day about some small company, government, or large company gets hacked. So you would think the vendors that was working for the government, especially the DoD, would have that level of security tightened down. And we looked at them. Those were really basic security requirements we were looking at, right? It wasn't nothing super duper or anything crazy, right? So once again, I'm kind of appalled with that. So once again, I'm gonna hang out. I dropped the link. I just wanted to touch on that for a quick second, just to once again touch on and see. I thought it was going to be more complex things or things I thought would be harder to implement. I guess those companies were failing on. So Stanley Stem. Okay, I got to go look that up. Stanley Stemmerman. I don't know. Everybody's getting hacked. I appreciate you. I might do that today. I haven't done that in a while. Shout out to Stars. It's going pretty good. I can't complain. But it work. So we just touched on that, kind of wrapping it up on the DoD vendors aren't passing their security assessment, their risk assessment. So that was you see it right there. Inspector General did an assessment on, I think it was 16 vendors. They came out with 100 findings. Some of them was at least 4 years old. They were pretty basic stuff: password complexity, MFA, not auditing correctly. That's cool. Shout out to that. I've done a few mobile assessments, hacking assessments. That's cool. That's one of my issues is bring your own device. I always say no. How do you control? Because mobile, you can actually lose physical issues with that. But yeah, mobile is one of my nightmares, especially for corporations. I'm actually against mobile, so I always get in arguments with the executives. Shut down the mobile. If they're mobile, at least do it from an iPad or some kind of iPad device, not a phone. Because most people give their phones to their kids, or at least let it be agency-owned or state-controlled phone that's hooked into MDM, your mobile data management, so you can actually wipe your mobile device, Charles. So that's my soapbox on mobile. So I hope everybody's having a good week. I'm glad tomorrow's Friday. I am like burnt out. I need to get it together. Even facts. Yep, facts. Doc. Yep. iPads are definitely hackable. You're 100%. I just think people will take better care of that from letting their kids play with them. Use their phones. They're usually a little more expensive too. So I love people, but nah, you're 100% right. You're definitely 100% right. And two, trying to find an MDM, especially from a company perspective, from an iPad, is a lot harder. So you're 100% right on that, Charles. So just once again, my 2 cents. Once again, I'm a Stig guy. The Stig has mobile checks out there. Those are the ones I usually use because I'm old and grumpy. So I love my Stig checks. CIS has some good mobile checks. MDM as a device, right? You can put that in. It puts a container so they can have their personal information versus your private. Once again, so if you need to remote wipe it, you can do that from a company standpoint, agency or a company. Once again, control device, meaning we can load what we on. And two, when people use their personal device, we actually put company stuff on it so we can wipe it. Because once you let company stuff hang on, basically it's the companies now. So we'll wipe your stuff. So I always tell people that. Let's see. How can I reach you? We can do that. We need to check about. So we can do that. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Give me 48 hours to get at you. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. You can go to my about page and you can check. My email is out there. Let's see what my man said. I gotta go check. Did you read the record.meeting? I have not. I have not. I might have to maybe go check that out. I have not. I usually read the Hill stuff. I don't usually read the record stuff. So maybe that's something I need to add to my repertoire. There's just so much information out there. Yeah, I might have to go check it out. I usually go to thehill.com, not that website. Maybe it's something I need to add to my there's so many websites out there, Scam Diesel. There's so many websites out there. I shouldn't be drinking pop, but I need to stay up. I got to study my CISP. Once again, it's not going well. So once again, let me drop the link if anybody want to come up. You don't have to cam up if you don't want. If you want to, you can put in there. But yeah, we can chop it up about that. They got all the current. I'll look at that. I'll go check that out. Record.com. I'll do that. Hacker News is pretty good. So yeah, I probably add that to my. There's just so much stuff to read. I'd be tired of reading all that stuff, to be honest. It's just like, we're getting hacked day after day, time after time. So I bear though they got all the current hacks. I'll go check that out. I'll definitely go check that out. Once again, it's just so much. I usually do bleeping.com. I like CNBC because they usually have videos. I can go over their stuff. Hacker News a lot. The crunch.com. Those are kind of the big ones I usually go to. They're usually more consumer friendly, meaning the average everyday person goes out and look there, not just security people. So that's kind of why I picked theirs. Let me know if there's anything specifically. I'm gonna do a PCI DS one. Add that to my compliance playlist. Trying to work on theirs. Okay. How you doing tonight, man? Can you hear me? Charles, sure. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You crystal clear. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Feeling great. Like I said, just sitting here doing this mobile app assessment, and trying to figure out what's going to happen next in the world of security.
All right, that's a big domain, though, right? This red team, purple team, blue team. I don't even touch computers anymore. I just do compliance and paperwork, which is crazy. I kind of miss engineering, so I'm debating if
But
I'm.
here's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. That is a huge part of security, right?
Oh, huge.
A lot of folks don't realize, because what's happening now, and I just had a conversation with somebody this earlier, right? The problem is everybody wants to be offensive. Everybody's seeing
100%.
everybody's seeing these hacker movies, and they just want to
Right.
be like, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when it comes down to time to write the report, that's like, oh, I don't know about this. But again, people pay you to report, not to hack.
Facts.
Hacking
Right.
is just part of it, right? And then
Right,
the
right.
money's in defense. The money's in compliance.
Facts. Just real quick, and I tell people that I wish my man was on. Gabe is. I work for big companies. We have to get a penetration test. We don't have that on site. We outsource that to a third party company. We don't have those skills on site. So
Right.
our red team. So that's a niche skill. Like people want to be hackers, but the big companies have that. But your average state or a smaller company, they don't have that red team stuff on site. And even us, if we get hacked, we got retainers where we bring in a big companies to check our forensics. Now we're started,
Right.
but so like you said, people like red team hacking because it's sexy, but all the jobs are in blue team, hardening stuff, and like you said, writing reports and making sure you make the have the compliance for HIPAA, FERPA, IRS, all that's red team, like you said, paperwork. Go ahead, but I just want to throw that in on you.
No. That's perfect, because I mean, people need to hear this. Like, it's just like, hey, look, this is what it's all about, and hopefully, like, getting the government more on board with, and hopefully in the future get more on board with, like, hey, maybe maybe a quarterly penetration test, right? Having a pen test that's quarterly or whatnot, as opposed to just yearly. Have and it doesn't even have to be a red team, because red teaming and penetration testing are two separate things, right? Red
100%.
red teaming is more so related to your function. You're pretty much focused on a portion of the business, like maybe it might be the financial sector of the business, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a blue team or a SOC in place that's tracking your every movement to see if you were able to gain access undetected, right? So it's kind of like a cat and mouse game with that situation. A pen test, they know that you're already there. They want you to bang on all the walls, all the whistles, sound everything off, drop all the alarms. And you're pretty much focused on one technology stack.
Yeah. So when I was at DoD, we did the red team. We paid a company. We did it every 2 years. We would give them 4 low-level passwords. Actually, put them in a conference room, because a lot of times they're gonna get on your network for Then we could see if they could escalate privileges, go east and west.
Do lateral movement.
Yeah, to see if we could catch them. Right, make sure your alarms go off. Right, so that's what we used to do. It was crazy. So that's like the level when I was at DoD how we did that. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way to go, because again, a real attacker doesn't know no boundaries. They don't care about compliance or anything else. They're just looking for a specific set of data. And once they get that data, they're on their way.
100%.
Or come back later.
Right. Or try to encrypt it and get you with the ransomware, take it and try to, hit you
to get more money.
To get more
financial.
Money. Give me 1 second. Let me read these quick too in the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. My man, Jupiter 1000X, ICE, bro, the government. Facts. I worked at DoD. Their system is out there. I wouldn't call it. Yeah, I'm gonna call it outdated. What they do though is they don't want to be on the bleeding edge because they don't have that type. So they want to make sure they're dealing with mature infrastructure. Now, some of that maturity might be a little outdated, but they want to make sure you got checks and CIS checks, and they know the CVEs for that. Exactly. I'm trying to pivot from compliance. I'd rather do blue team or purple. Yeah, I miss purple because I programmed for 10 years from the app side. My last ISO role at the defense company, I was overworked. Shut up, man. Them ISO roles are, facts. You do. You get overworked. I take that, man. If you're a good social engineering and getting credentials, you can get anywhere. in Active Directory. Facts, man. Active Directory be most people don't have it configured right. They don't have it encrypted. They let anybody get to it. So facts on that. Active Directory from checks.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, go ahead, chime in on that, Charles. I'll let you chime in on that if you want.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. If you're very good at social engineering, you can get creds, you can get anything.
Oh,
You know,
fact.
especially like with Active Directory, right? The thing is with Active Directory, there's so many like moving pieces.
Oh my God.
I look at Active Directory as like a big movie theater, right? Look at Active Directory like a big movie theater, and then you have things like Kerberos, you have print,
Facts.
you have file services,
Facts.
you have all these different services that are running within that movie theater, right? And of course, certificate services, which is a lot of attackers have focused on in the last several years since 2021, where you're using certificate services to get domain admin if certificate services are installed on the actual box, right? And it's all about tokens within Active Directory and what tickets that you actually have that you're presenting to Active Directory that says, hey, you're allowed to use this service, whether it's print services. Okay. So I always look at it at a movie theater when I'm hacking Active Directory. I'm like, okay, what ticket do I have? Because I want to see file services or IAS playing in Theater 11 and see what I can take from that particular movie. So that's pretty much on how I do. Yes, even past the hash.
Oh, I
right?
know. Real quick,
Yeah,
I got this is a true story. I got in a shouting match with Microsoft because I'm like, Past the Hash was like 17 years old, man. I got to fix that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten a shouting match with Microsoft. They actually went to my boss and told on me, but my boss backed me. But Past the Hash, they finally got it kind of figured out. But that was out there probably for 17 to 20 years, which is crazy.
Yeah. And now they have Azure. Now you're adding Azure to the thing. See, here's the thing about Microsoft, right? Microsoft doesn't change anything. They just build on top of what's already there, right?
Facts.
And and it was done by design. So
backwards compatible
developers
backwards compatibility.
Yes.
They great at that, but sometimes you got to cut the cord because you got to get better. But go ahead on that, Charles. Go ahead.
You do because they had the COM, the DCOM, all that stuff is still relevant and still accessible by the Windows API. That's why they left the Windows API undocumented. There's so many undocumented features in the Windows API. It's insane.
Facts.
And now you have Microsoft Azure, which has its own set of APIs, and Active Directory in Azure.
ASFDS.
Which has another set of APIs.
Yeah, AFDS.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's endless. It's endless research that needs to be done. APIs are ruling the world, of course. We know that.
Yeah.
When it comes from I look at APIs as specific backdoors, legalized backdoors that a lot of developers leave open in place, right? Because they'll say, well, we got the front end of the web application, and I'm just using web app, for example. Web app is like a big house. The front end, you got the back end, right? And most people are traditionally used to doing that, right? So
Charles, do me a favor, keep going.
Once they do,
keep going. I gotta answer my door. I'm gonna let you run it for quick. I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep running though. You have a good part.
I got you. So you're looking at a web app, and then you're looking at the front end. The front end is secure. Input has been validated. Everything is situated. Same thing on the back end. The database is pretty well locked down to a certain extent. But then you have a database. But then you have access. You leave access open to the API, and then the APIs give you a list of not only user accounts, but a list of databases or whatever else is connected to that API within the operating system, whether it's Windows or a lot of times in the Linux operating systems, right? And this is true. All you do need is in packet scripts and credentials. You can go anywhere. Yeah. Also, too, look at man in the middle IPv6 as well too, because a lot of Windows machines have IPv6 enabled by default with DHCP, and you could do some relaying as well too. I also see a lot of SMB version 1 that's still out there, and they still have version 2 as well. But here's the thing: a lot of folks in the Windows and Active Directory environment, they'll have like signature enabled but not required, and that still allows you to do some type of NTLL relay, right? And even if that's not an option, if NTL relay is not an option and SMB relay is not an option, you can also do LDAP relay. You can switch over to do just go directly with LDAP and start relaying that way as well too, to gain access to the domain controller. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can do that. That is insane, and there's a lot of information on that out there about that. Definitely a lot of executable files and services in Windows. You know what? What's interesting about Windows, speaking of services, Linux is starting to become a service hog as well too. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of services that start up by default in Linux now too.
Facts.
So it's like half and half.
Yeah, but
welcome back. I wasn't rambling too long, but
no, you good. I had to tell you, I appreciate you. But now, like you said on Linux, so when we go through, if we're not using, we cut that service off and make sure it doesn't start off. But you're right, by default.
Yes.
By default, you're right, it comes up. But once again, you need your checklist and work with your developers and your staff to figure out what do we need to do to just run our business. Anything else, make sure attack surface bigger, meaning hackers can kind of attack it, even though you're not using those services. So you want to make sure you cut those services off. So
yeah. And this is why STIGs are important, folks. This is why STIGs are still. I still think they're important because, again,
I love STIGs.
Before you deploy anything, you need to have a base set of configurations that says, okay, we're going to lock it down to this requirement. Right. Now, if you need something else that requires a service to be open, hey, pull out the paperwork. So I'm with DoD on that one. Like if you got a specific application, it's okay, cool. We're going to give you a STIG box. Yeah. Here you go. Try to run your application. If you run into something and you need said service, you need to fill out you need to write up a statement of work or something that requires you to have that service, because you're not going to just run wild on the network. So I totally agree with how they do it.
Yeah, most people hate STIGs. I've gotten some feisty questions. I've been going to the CIS benchmarks because people hate STIGs, but I'm with you. And that's and really just dovetailing on that. That's the same thing with your networking box. I'm not opening up a port until you write it up and tell me what you need that port open and what specific protocol you need. So you're just not gonna you're not gonna have 65,000 ports open because it's cool. It's not gonna happen.
People, the new folks that are just getting into the industry, y'all would hate me as a sysadmin because you say you need a print server. That's all you getting is a print server. You're not SSH into the box at all.
Facts.
I've locked it down. A Linux box, I've locked it down. So the only way you get to that is through the console, depending on how important the box was.
Here, I got a question for you and me. I'm gonna let you go first. Here, my question. My last job, we barely had kids know IT fundamentals. I know what you're talking about. How can the government bring these kids in to defend their network? What's your thoughts on that, Charles? I'm gonna let you get that first.
So how can we recruit these kids to come in to defend their network?
No, I think what he said, kids aren't at a certain level, so how can you bring them in? I don't think you do. So I'll go first.
You don't bring them in.
I'll go first.
I would say don't. Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
Yeah,
I'll go.
Yeah, no, you good. I don't think you bring them in. A lot of times, though, is the big companies bring them in, but they're responsible for it. So when Booz Allen comes in, they got a supervisor and practice manager to watch those kids. So I think they have the infrastructure. I don't think the government at the base line is competent enough to handle those rookies. The problem is even at DoD, they don't pay well against the private sector. So you got to get those kids, because those will only really want to work those jobs at a certain level, right? Because they don't pay what the private sector pays. So that's my thought. What's your thought on that, Charles?
I definitely agree on the pay scale. Also, too, the way that you would get these kids in there, we got to go back to internships, man. Like, we really got to go back to internships, and real internships, not just busy work.
Facts.
Real internships to where it's like, hey, I need you to build this server. I need you to understand how this works. I need you to understand the basics of networking. I'm here to help you to understand that, because one day I want to be able to, I'll say, deploy you. We'll put it that way. One day I want to be able to deploy you to a site to where it's just saying, hey, Johnny's got this. Johnny's been working with me as an intern for a year. He's got Active Directory down pat. He can set it up. He can stig a box. We got to get to that point. He understands basic networking. Like, I think we need to go back to that, because the problem is now with the newer generation that's coming in, and you see this, they're coming in, just want to skip right to security.
Facts, which is weird, but yeah, facts.
Right. And I just dislike I just dislike in the government they use certs over degrees to promote rather than merit and knowledge. Well, here's the thing, right? That's a double-edged sword. Can I answer that?
Go. You rolling. I ain't gonna stop
okay.
you. I'll go after you. You good?
Yeah,
keep rolling.
okay.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling, man. You good.
So here's the thing, right? Certifications and degrees, right? It's a double-edged sword. I think certs and degrees are great, right? They give you a base foundation, because a lot of people like to knock certs or whatever. I think in order to really work in this environment, in order to really gain a foothold, that makes you have the total package. Certs and degrees just show people like, hey, I had enough honor and dedication to my craft to pursue it just a little bit further, right? And then you gain the knowledge as you gain experience, right? Nobody comes into this knowing everything out the box. It just doesn't happen that way. Certs are great. Yeah, certs are great for liability as well, but they're mainly their main purpose is to give you a foundation. We got to stop thinking like HR, right? HR is just there to check a box. We have to start thinking like, hey, why do we want to get this cert?
Facts.
Why do we want to get this cert? Why? Like, a lot of people want to go offensive security. I'll say that, for example, right? You want to go offensive security? Okay, fine. Why do you want to do that? Is this something that you want to do? Is this something that you're really interested in? If it's just for the money, yeah. You'll burn out pretty quickly. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Facts.
You gotta like this stuff. That's just my take on it. You go.
No, that's fine. And to me, like you said, I think they go together. I was brought up because I'm a little older, so I always went degrees first. I think certs first. I think they kind of work together. In the end, you need to know your craft and really study it. It doesn't matter if you got degrees or you got certs. You need to understand your craft and really understand it, because when stuff go left, people gonna be looking at you. You got to be able to do what you said you could do, right, at a higher level.
Oh yeah.
And to me,
and word travels fast.
Yeah, and to me, you got to remember, my bachelor's in computer science, I got in 1990. I was doing RPG and COBOL. That shit don't even exist anymore, right? So you need degree or certs or something so you just say, I'm keeping current with the new trends, right? So that kind of, so I was,
oh my friend.
So I've been in this game for a long, long time, right? So you got to figure that out.
You've been in it longer than me.
I've been.
Listen, you don't know, right? I'm paying homage and bowing down right now. You said 1990.
1990.
Listen, I'm gonna say my age. I don't care. I was 10 in 1990. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
And you were from the golden era. Okay, that's the golden era. I pay homage to folks who've been through it and really seen it. The .com boom and everything.
All of
that was this, like, you guys lived through stuff that I read about.
Facts.
And I appreciate it, because again, when I first got into this industry, I went back and read the history. I read the history on Unix in 1969. Yeah. I read about the PDP-11s.
Yeah.
And I actually got to touch Novell NetWare.
I was Novell certified. So that's how
I'm same here. I'm certified in NetWare 411.
Yep. I think I was.
So,
yeah. So,
and GroupWise 5.5.
Yeah, they don't even.
So,
that's funny.
But it's just, okay, do you think ChatGPT or AI is going to replace some cyber jobs? No. And I'll tell you why. Right? Here's the thing. ChatGPT and AI are no different than your average programming language. Somebody has to be behind it to code this thing. Right? And as you know, with any type of code, there's always going to be bugs. There's going to be some type of bug. So will it replace some cyber jobs? No. I think it'll make it a little bit, I think it'll make it a little bit less desirable. Like, for example, help desk, right? Let's use help desk as an example. Will it obliterate the help desk? No, not completely.
No.
But there will be fewer help desk jobs for people.
So you said it's going to replace you said it's going to replace a few help desk jobs then, right?
It's going to replace a few, but not completely replace it. You see what I'm
getting
at?
With you,
it's gonna downsize it.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna downsize it. You know, like you might have like 100 help desk jobs with ChatGPT and AI. They might automate the most tedious aspect of it, but still keep people on the payroll in order to have that human interaction, because customers still want that human interaction.
Facts.
Not everybody wants to just talk to a robot.
Facts. So, I agree with Charles. Just probably a little bit further. What do I mean is, I think AI, machine learning. Let's talk about the SOC and logs. And two is, you got to remember, we're a million people short. So what little jobs they're taking, they can't fill those spots anyway. So now AI and machine learning can look through a petabyte of logs in 5 minutes. The average person can't threat hunt like that. But like Charles said, is you still need a human, because there's new things that come out that the humans got to show the machine learning and the AI what to hunt for, right? So, but two is, if you look in Azure, especially AWS, because I'm an AWS fanboy, is they got a lot of artificial intelligence built in. Like we were talking about coding. It's going to look through your code and look for buffer overflow. You don't have the proper validation. You're not doing all of that, right? So I think it's going to help you with those basic concepts. So you won't, instead of needing 20 programmers, you might need 17, 14, right? So, but like you said, I don't think it's going to obliterate all the jobs. And two is, it's going to make your better programmers better. I'm going to do a video. Cisco now has AI for your firewalls to help you with firewall rules. Now, helping you, somebody still needs to validate it, right? But probably what's going to do is watch your programs hit the firewall and say, these are the things I see your programs hit, right? So this is your baseline for your firewall rules, but you still need to go validate that baseline that the machine learning or AI came up with, right? So I think together, I think that was going to make each better. So maybe you don't need as many people, because the person with AI is better than itself. So it might be FTE of 3 people with AI, right? So you don't need to hire as many people. But in all of IT, we still short, what, 1 million people? It seems like every domain. So it's not going to get rid of jobs, right? Because we're still short of jobs. Now, I think the gatekeepers are in there blocking some people out, so to stop them from getting in. But once again, I don't think it's going to take all the jobs away. So I agree with you on that.
But you hit a key note here, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
And for folks that are listening, I don't care if you're defense. I don't care if you're offense. I want you to pick a programming language and learn it. The reason I say that, programming will extend your days in this industry a lot longer than just having the CAN-based knowledge. And what I mean by that, when I say CAN-based, is just like anybody can be taught to run a tool, but you always want to be the person that can create a tool. And the way that you can create a tool is through learning a programming language. And it doesn't have to be C or assembly or anything super complicated. You could just, C# is an amazing language, right? When doing red teaming, and I'll put that out there right now, right? If you want to be a red teamer, right? With red teaming, you definitely going to need to be able to craft your own tools. Because again, that's the only way you're going to be able to bypass any type of AV or EDR solution that's in place, right? You can't use the CAN, but the default tools that are out there, because the defenders already know about that. And this is where learning C#, because that's the language of Microsoft, right? And of course, PowerShell. But offensive PowerShell, a lot of defenders are actually blocking PowerShell and detecting PowerShell. So that's why a lot of attackers have moved on to C#. and a lot of them have moved on to Golang. And for me personally, I've moved over to Rust, right?
Facts on
And
Rust.
writing,
Rust is super happy.
Rust is what?
Rust is cool. Shout out to Tam, Women in Linux. She's always promoting Rust. No, keep going, keep going.
Hey, Tam, yes, I love Rust. I am in transformer language of Rusticon.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Python, or yeah, even PHP. If you want to hack web applications, PHP is still a good language to know as well too, because there's a lot of code. There's a lot of PHP code in WordPress, and WordPress gets hacked a lot.
I hate WordPress. Every time I go on a a module or something, WordPress is always getting hacked. Shout out to WordPress, but it's widely used, so it's the most attacked content management system because it's number one. So it's always on attack of hackers as number one. So I'm gonna give it a little love like that, though.
Yeah. So I mean, these are things that you definitely want to learn. There was a question where do y'all use any cloud storage or y'all use private storage, and which one would you recommend? I mean, it just depends on what you're learning. For me, I use Azure because I'm in the learning hacking of Azure Active Directory. So that's the only reason I'm like kind of like zoned in on Azure. If you're into the Linux space and Linux and cloud, definitely AWS.
Facts. That's what I do. Facts.
AWS.
Yeah. So you're talking about EC2s, then the S3 storage bucket, but keep going. I'll jump on that after you do.
Yeah, and I don't know too much about Google Cloud, but you definitely want to be able to touch all three.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get a feel for what you might like and don't like, and the dislikes, and the pros and cons of each one. Look at it as if you're, the age-old battle, iPhone and Android, right? Everybody in their lifetime has used either iPhone or Android or both.
Facts.
And everybody has something to bring to the table when it comes to pros and cons on each platform. Same thing with cloud. That's my little rant.
No, 100%. I'm an AWS nerd, so I'm with the S3 bucket. Two is I think you need to be hybrid. Most companies going to be in the cloud, partial or all. So I think you need to master, like you said, all the cloud storage. At least pick Azure or AWS or Google. Oracle's got part of that $9 billion government contract, so I'm gonna throw them in there. So yeah, I think you need to master that. Especially in AWS, they're still an 800-pound gorilla. Everything goes in the S3 bucket. You can secure it. You can put certificates on it. You can put MFA on it. I try to put everything in there, everything for all their security on it. So once again, Shamar, I hope I said her name right. You need to master both of those, because once again, all the companies I work for now, in the past, everybody's hybrid. So some of their workload is in the cloud because it's just cheaper. Even if it's just their DR, if they need to spin up some stuff because their on-site gets hit. So everybody's kind of in the cloud in some form or another. So that's one thing you need to master it. Like my man said, pick one and learn it. All right. Once again, I probably got 20 AWS videos that I've done, and I'm about to start labbing on that and put it with GRC, right? Because when we talk about the 171, when they set up their infrastructure, their virtual private network, their EC2s, shout out to Tim, their Kubernetes and their Docker, all that's got to be 171 secure. What type of encryption you using? What type of database? How are you saving the database encrypted? Where are you putting your documents? Are the documents encrypted at rest in transit? My man understands. Is it FIPS 140-2 or 3? Right, that's federally approved encryption.
You talk that language.
Yeah, see, I'm about that right, that DoD line. So that's what I'm trying to bring to my channel, get y'all understanding, so we can get some of that government money. So you want to chat? You want anything on that, Charles? While we flow.
Ooh, when you said the FIPS, it just touched my soul.
Yeah, most people don't know what that is, but go ahead. Most people don't know what that is. I knew you would know what that is.
That is the heartbeat of compliance. Right. That's what that is.
But now,
and then you go,
but
go ahead.
Be more specific. That's federal compliance. That's when we talk about how do I know if people know federal compliance. If I put this out, if I say that and you don't know what it is, then I know you're really not about that federal life. So go ahead.
Oh, and then that RMF framework.
Yeah,
I
37.
done said too much.
837.
What?
837. Yeah, facts.
We up here throwing gov signs up,
Facts.
compliance signs.
Yeah, they don't know. But yeah. Swiss Army knife.
Fits equals Brick City. Okay.
Facts. Come on,
But
Tam. Tam. She's in that federal space. Yeah, but you got to tell us what you
I
need.
can tell.
Yeah, you got to tell us what you need, so it won't be a brick. Yeah, so you got to tell us what you need.
Right. That's it.
Yes.
Say what you want. You gotta say what you want. That's it. Yes. RMF. Yep.
Shout out to
Speak that lingo. Stings.
CMS. CMC. I'm mad. I still think we should do 853 stigs. They try to sneak that little weak CMC in there, man. I'm mad. Man. I'm not
speaking NIST.
Yeah, Tam's about that life. Shout out to women in Linux.
Shout out to everybody over there at NASA Langley. I used to work there.
Okay.
Know a lot about NIST.
But you got to. That's how I made my second bag in life, learning that NIST, man. I just do paperwork all day now, so it's funny. I don't even touch computers. I just do paperwork all day. So
listen, you are living the second life, my friend. That's the thing. Like I still to this day use Unix, by the way.
Oh, me too. I do Amazon too, which is a Red Hat derivative from Amazon. So that's all I spin up on Amazon. But go ahead. Yeah, I'm about that.
I actually, my laptop runs FreeBSD.
Okay.
Yeah, so I use FreeBSD on a lot of my engagements to run specific tools and stuff.
Okay. I'm a Red Hat guy.
That's where I code my Rust thing from.
Yeah, because originally the only thing DoD would let you run was Red Hat because that's all they had stigs for. So that's really why I just kind of really just I still to this day really run Red Hat. So
so the last Red Hat, I call it the last real Red Hat, was 7.2.
Okay. No, yeah.
And then after that, I used Mandrake, and then from Mandrake I used Slackware, and then Gentoo.
Okay.
And then after it got to Gentoo with the System 5 type style, that's when I moved over to FreeBSD, and that was in 1999.
Okay, I might have to check that out.
I never looked back. It's a variant of Unix, of the AT&T Unixes, right?
Okay.
So the AT&T Unix. So before it was the real pure Unix, and this is where like HP, AT&T, they all had a big argument.
So put Sun. I did Sun Solaris forever before I came to open source and Red Hat. But go ahead.
Oh, my brother, you're speaking my language again. I cut my teeth on Solaris 2.6 when it was Sun OS and it was the pizza box.
Okay.
And then graduated to Solaris 8.
But
when it turned purple on
me. Yeah, but you got to remember though, Sun was super expensive. You had to have money to have a Sun box.
Yeah. Well, eBay, I spent, this is how bad I wanted to learn Solaris, right? I was spending $500 a box on eBay.
Okay.
So I had a Sun E250, I had a Sun Netstra.
Wow.
And I had my Jumpstart servers. That's how I learned Solaris is where containers come from. Actually, FreeBSD is where containers come from. And IBM is the king of virtualization.
Okay.
Containers didn't show up. Containers did Solaris 10. Okay, so before that, AIX had containers. They had LPARs and WPARs.
Facts on the LPARs. I still see LPARs to this day. My last job, they were still using LPARs. Facts on the LPARs.
So that's where that came from. Jails, which is what they call it in FreeBSD, are containers. They came out in 1999.
I can't chime in. I'm gonna let Tam does way more container work. Go ahead. I don't do containers.
So Solaris 10 dropped in 2006, and then that was like Solaris 10 version 1, right? The next version that they came out with is when they came out with zones. So that's when they came out with zones. Now zones had they had an address space within the kernel, so you can have several zones. But if you patched that Solaris box, you also patched those zones because they had and address space within the kernel. Now, later on, Sun, when it was still Sun Microsystems, came out with a concept called hardware virtualization, which is called LDOMs in Solaris, right? Logical domains, right?
Yep.
So what you could do with logical domains, you could have one big physical box, because I had a Sun T250, a Sun T5220, right?
Yep.
The T5220s were like, you could have, it was like a hypervisor.
Yep.
Right?
I've used
so
them.
you could run, you could run Solaris 10 and 9 on the same boxes with separate kernels on one box, which made it amazing, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't do it with Solaris 8 for some reason. You had to hack your way around it, but it was a way, you know, some boxes supported, some didn't. But that's where, like, Solaris, like with the containers and everything else, that's how that came about. Only reason I know about that, shout out to Northrop Grumman.
Oh, fine.
I'm shouting people out today. Shout people out. Shout out to Northrop Grumman, the Unix team there.
Fine.
I was on the Unix team, and this was in Newport News Shipyard. From 2008 to 2010, I was on the Unix team.
Thanks.
I'm plugging here, and whoever's listening, that team, I was 28 years old at the time. That team made me a better Unix person. Period.
Oh,
they upgraded my Unix skills. And I'll tell you how. When I first got the job, our interview was a regular talking interview, and then they sat me in front of a Sun box, and I had to configure Sun volume, logical volume manager, and zones. That was my interview.
Wow.
Now, fast forward, right? I'm 6 months into the job, right? I get called into the office. Hey, Charles, how you liking the job so far? I'm loving it. I'm enjoying Solaris. Solaris is my baby. Like that. I always talk like that, right? He said, good, you're on AIX for the next 6 months.
That's why I've used AIX before.
He put me, I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, you're on AIX for the next 6 months. No Solaris box for you for the next 6 months. That's how he did cross-training.
Oh, thanks.
And then it got to the point where I read, and this is how I got good with man pages and there's 80 base Unix commands, right? There's 80 base Unix commands. I did a man page a day for a year, starting with the ls command.
Well, I never thought about doing that. No, that's
so I read the entire man page on Solaris for ls, practiced the commands all day for just ls alone. Next day, went to copy, CP, every command while redoing the commands in ls. I did every man page for a year. The thing that took me almost a week on the man page was sed and awk.
Facts. I've done those.
And that's how I got good with Unix. Nobody told me to do that. It's just me being it's just me wanting to really get good. And we had something called the Bible, like the VI Bible.
Yeah,
but we called it the Bible.
I still VI now. People think I weird. I don't Vim. I'm so old. I still use VI when I'm on F5.
Oh, I use VI and Vim.
I'm a VI.
I do Vim diff.
I'm a VI guy. I just be the weird thing is I
love it.
You actually was a system admin. I came from a program spot, so a lot of times people like you would be like, "Oh, here's your L parcel. Go ahead and put your Apache and your Tomcat on there." So that's really how I learned it from a programmer and web admin. So setting it up, but doing that, I still have to have some basic Unix skills because I got a tar. I got to look at the directories. Then two is I'm a corn shell guy. So like you said, a corn shell, we would get flat files out.
Well, oh, you speaking my language again.
You see, I would have to cut, you have to cut pipe and all that stuff to get the files right. So yeah, I used to do all of that, man, because I used to do data work.
My profile?
Dot profile.
My profile is corn shell to this day.
Oh yeah.
I still use corn shell to this day.
I'm a corn shell.
On my FreeBSD box and my Mac. I got corn shell on my Mac.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and you'll love this lingo, HJKL. That's all you need for that editor.
No,
and you know what I'm talking about.
That's really all people.
That's the de facto standard.
Yeah, people think I'm weird because really, people watch me do Unix. They think I'm this fabulous guy. I got about 25 commands because that's all I need as a developer. It's not like all of this stuff. Like okay, like you say, BI go up. I can take 2 lines, bring them together. I can do a little corn shell cut, pipe, right.
And here's the thing, you can do substitution with and you can do a substitution within the file.
Facts.
You don't even need sed.
Facts.
You can sub everything in the file.
Right.
And if you really want to get rugged, you can go ED. and that's roughing it caveman style.
Oh, facts. Let me read a couple of these. Tam said jails were a
Yeah.
big thing. Facts, especially from a web server. You want a jail in case somebody get in there, they
Yes.
can't get out to somewhere else. And I still do that to this day. So when I'm setting up Apache, even on a VM, it's gonna be in a jail because if somebody hack it, they can't get out, and it looks like they're at the root.
They in the sandbox.
Yep, they're at the root of theirs. Real quick. And my man, this is interesting. Are there any no code, low code areas in GC? For me, what I'm starting to do, and I got one video out there, I'm using oh my god, I'm blanking out. SharePoint list as a database with automate inside Teams. Teams has about 15 programs that you get basically for Teams, and I'm going to use that to set up a GRC application. So I'm using SharePoint right now. We're going to put our policies in. Then those policies, you put a date with automate, which is built into Teams. It'll look at the date and says, okay, 3 months from now, you need to update these policies, send them to the compliance director and to the chief security information officer to do the policies. They have plans. So like we said, with those findings, I can automatically build plans. He'll know you have a cat 1, you got 30 days to fix it. Cat 2, I think is 90. 3 is fixed. So you can build all that type of automation inside Teams. So I'm going to use those programs inside Teams to actually build. I'm calling it a baby GRC because either you're using spreadsheets or you're trying to buy Archer. There's not a lot of in the middle with GRC. Open web pages for my VM is not good. I've used some other stuff. So no, I'm gonna build some no-code stuff inside Teams to help with GRC. And 2, I think that might be my membership. Shout out to Tam. I'm gonna make that my membership. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you chime in on that, Charles, if you want to.
Are there any no code in low code areas?
GRC? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a GRC guy.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, I'm the wrong guy to ask that question.
Tam, real quick. Tam, I dropped the link if you want to come up. You know, I ain't gonna make you cam up, whatever you want to do, Tam. I know you're busy though. It's up to you, no pressure. But I dropped the link if you want to come up. Let's see, we're gonna hang out and see if there's any more questions. You want to chime in on anything else, Charles, while we up here chopping it up?
Oh man, like I said, I just want to say that I've been watching your channel for a while, and I appreciate all the information that you're putting out there. I mean, you are keeping us. You're single-handedly keeping us informed of what goes on in the day-to-day of government and IT security. Because your channel is unique. There's not a lot of things out there related to just government. It's all, everything is just all public,
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to see channels like this. It's refreshing to see folks like you still in the industry since 1990, man.
Yeah.
Like that's a big to people like me. That's a big deal. Because again, you have a lot of knowledge that a lot of us would hope to be able to accomplish one day. Again, the only reason I even got to the point where I have the knowledge that you're talking about and understand what you're talking about, because I actually had to go back. Once I got into the industry, I had to go back and see what occurred before me.
Facts.
What systems, what programming languages. Like you said with COBOL, you touched on that, right?
Yep.
COBOL is still needed
100%
because of that generational gap.
Facts.
So, folks, if you really want to make some money, and if it's about money, get your COBOL on.
Facts, man.
And I mean, really get good at it, because there's places that are willing to pay top dollar for you to keep maintaining their systems.
Still a lot of COBOL out there.
Somebody just still a lot of Perl out there too.
Oh yeah, and 2 is
somebody's transition.
It's hard to beat a mainframe for pure transaction power. I know a lot of big. I used to work for a Fortune 500 insurance company. They be moving billions of rows. It's hard to beat a mainframe because you just doing some policy, doing some basic math with a little death benefit calculations. It's hard to beat a mainframe on that. Now you got to pay for that type of power, but it's hard to beat a mainframe if you just pumping them in and out.
Yeah, it's Sheesh. I agree. Somebody just said,
I see. That's cool, Kyle. Just hit me up, professorblackops@gmail.com. You got anything for Stu? I was gonna comment on this after you.
Yeah. So for Stu, you're transitioning careers. You just passed AWS Solutions Architect. How can you make yourself marketable? Any skills I need to work on? I'll tell you right now. Start putting together a blog.
Right.
Start putting it for starters. Put together a blog, right? And for since this is 2023, get into some discords.
I'm in like
look up. Definitely, I'm in like 200 servers.
I'm in like 7. I'm tired of my 7, but go ahead. I'm in like 7. Go ahead.
But get into some Discord chats that talk about like cloud solutions related to AWS or just cloud in general, right? Also, start going to security conferences. Look up what cloud security solution conferences and just go. If it's virtual and if it's a money thing, go virtual.
Right.
See if they have an option to just to go virtual. There's a lot of different security conferences that actually have the option to stay virtual. These are things you definitely want to do. And here's the thing too: create a talk about what you've learned.
Right.
Like you're transitioning careers. There's probably somebody out there that was scared to make the move that you just made, and they can learn from your past experience. And the fact that you just passed the AWS Solutions, this is your journey. Talk about your journey.
Right.
And that's how you can make yourself marketable, because now when you're speaking with folks, they're like, wow, he has knowledge. He's done these talks. He's been at this event. You're gaining experience, and that all counts as experience that you can just put on your resume as well too. Because here's the thing with interviewers, they want to know about you. When you going into these interviews, you are selling yourself. They're pretty much trying to figure out, how can I spend my money for your time? So what you need to do to make yourself marketable, like I said before, no problem, Stu. I mean, that's the way to go about it. You got any thoughts on this end?
Yeah, my only thing is just what's up, John Gilroy, is what part of cloud do you want to go in? Like you said, that's gonna help you focus, because there's DevOps, SecOps, you want to be a developer, solution architect. There's probably 4 or 5 big domains inside AWS. So I think you need to try to figure out which one you want to do and drill down into that. And inside there's SREs, right? So there's probably 3 or 4 big domains, even with the solution architect, right? Because I've got 4 of those. I've got 4 AWS certifications, and I'm trying to, because I'm in, of course, I'm in security, so I'm gonna do DevSecOps, developer security operator, because I develop, right? So I think you need to pinpoint which one of those you want to go into and drill down more, because AWS solution architect, especially with no experience, is going to be hard for you to get a job, because the first thing they're going to ask you is, what have you put in production? So you need to start doing bigger labs like it is in production. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about that channel, but I think you need to figure out if you want to be a solutions architect, DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, because each one of those domains has a certain skill set in the cloud. So I think you need to try to figure out which one of those, because you need to drill down to, because site reliability engineer, right, it's going to be more of my VPC is in 2 different regions or 2 different data centers, right? In that region, it's got to fail over, right? Because you don't want anything to go down. If this region goes down, how do you roll over? But part of that is BIA, business impact analysis. How much data can an end user lose? How quick does it need to be back up, right? What's your RTO, RPO type for those site reliability? So those things I think you need to learn to up your game.
I totally agree.
Let's see. Shout out to John Gilroy, always in the box. Shout out to brother Michael, always in the box. We see you, these two. Keep grinding though. Keep grinding too. Like he said, AWS events, they just really had their big conferences, but they slice and dice those events up and put them on YouTube. It's probably 100 of them out there I need to look at. So, like you said, especially YouTube, AWS event, just Google AWS event. They just had their keynote with the presidents. Of course, everything is AI, machine learning right now, because everybody's trying to keep up with Chat GPT, but they had some cool stuff. So DevOps, VPC.
Yeah.
They had a big GRC because I'm probably going to go over a couple of those videos, slice them up, and talk about them from a cloud GRC perspective on this channel. But once again, AWS is in there. But two, shout out to Tim. Multi-cloud's the future. I think each business is going to use a part of the cloud that works best, right? Some things, Azure is going to be good because you're going to take Active Directory in the cloud with AFDS, Office 365 going to be in on the cloud. We know Amazon is good with developers, so I think you're going to start working those together. Long story short, I'm going to take AFDS, let you authenticate that, get a ticket, then let you get into that same company, AWS, with your AFDS ticket, like we talked about. Cover roast in the cloud, so not using multi-cloud and letting them work together. That's part of my 2024 goals, and I'm going to ask everybody in the chat what's going to, not now, but you got to figure out what your goals are going to be in 2024, because like he did, I'm going to be 56 this month. So I got another decade left before I shut it down. So I got to get these new skills up, right? So
bring the alarm.
So yeah, so I've got to, shout out to Tim. I got to get, this year is going to be my multi-cloud and my Docker and Kubernetes and AWS. I have a high level understanding, but like we talked about, I need to roll up my sleeves and start digging down into those nodes and those tasks inside Kubernetes and how to multi-scale across multiple containers, right? How to lock those down because your network is inside your container. So like we talked about, how can you jail inside of a Kubernetes or a Docker container, right? Because your apps are in there. So what is that? Because from a security perspective, I need to understand that and how to do that to make sure the developers are doing that and not, open us up like these guys for findings, so we won't get on the the government's bad list. Go ahead, Charles. I'm gonna throw that back to you. See what you
This is so true. Like, level up, everybody. If you listening, time to level up. You started today by tuning in. Professor Black Ops. This is your first step towards leveling up.
Right.
So it's time. Don't wait. If it's something that you feel that you need to learn, get to it.
Right.
It's so much information out there. There's so many things. You don't need a card catalog anymore, folks.
Facts.
You don't need to have to go anywhere.
Facts.
All you got to do is put your hands together, hit on that keyboard, open up that browser, and break open the doorway to your future.
Facts.
Whatever your destination is, that's the driveway. Keep going. You're gonna reach the destination. So that's my spiel on it. If you're into offense, you're into defense, you're into policy, GRC, AWS, Azure, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. This is not a dark art. This is not a black science.
Facts.
This is something that all you got to do is use your two God-given hands, fingers, put them on the keyboard and type, how do I become this? Facts. And tune in to Professor Black Ops.
Facts. And two is.
And tune into, yes.
Right.
I'm sorry for the shameless.
No, I appreciate it. But like you said, too, is I don't know everything, but I appreciate it. It's so much knowledge out here. If you come to me, I'm gonna send you to a couple people, man, because there's so much good knowledge. I don't want to hog it all up. But it's a lot, like you said, and even me, I'm learning. And I'm reaching out to Tim because their Kubernetes skills, women in Linux, are much better than mine, right? So even at my age, I'm not ashamed to say, hey, I gotta learn. I need to talk to people because the domains are big. Right? So and I get stuck. People get stuck. It's not a shame you get stuck. The cool thing though is, I'm before Google. I used to have to buy books from Borders. Now you can Google it.
Yes.
You can YouTube it. You can ask people. There's so many people, giving out good information. Shout out to my man, Daddy. I'm messing his name up. He's definitely in the auditing. He does the real auditing. I have to go check him out. I always check him out. He's definitely in the audience, so go check him out.
I sound like a preacher.
Facts, man. I like that. No, we making it happen.
No, you know what it is, man? Because at this stage of the game, I've been in the game for 20 years, right?
Facts.
2003 is when I started professionally. Before that, I was in college, just being the typical, hacking away and hoping to get to touch the technology that you guys have at your fingertips to this day.
Right.
And I hate to see it where we have all these resources and still not achieving the goals that you want to achieve.
Right.
That's the part that I want people to change,
Right.
is that alone, because first getting into this, like I said, I was a huge fan of Solaris.
Right.
I had to spend half my paycheck just to be able to learn this, because there was no such thing as training,
Right.
So yeah.
The other part of that, and like you mentioned, I'm just gonna dovetail. When I used to have boxes in my house, like he had boxes. I had 5 Dell servers. I do all my stuff in AWS. Most of the labs I do, I can do in 3 hours or less. I tear them down. It costs me $6 when I do a big lab.
Yeah.
So you can spin up anything.
I
spin up databases. I spin up VPCs. I spin up 2 EC2s in different regions. I got failover. I got external logs. Once again, I got S3. I spun up an Oracle database because that's where I learned. That was the most expensive thing. All that spin up. I think my total lab for 2, 3, 4, 5 was $6. Right? You just spin up and you tear it down. So all this stuff. And 2 is when you first start, Oracle, AWS let you get trial stuff for a year. I've just used up my year. I could probably switch up, but you could do all that stuff for a year for free.
Exactly. And again, even when I wanted to get into smartwatches, right? I always had my first smartwatch was 2005. That was my first watch. It was a Linux watch.
Facts.
From the Linux watch, IBM Linux watch.
Yep.
That was my first. If anybody has Google and just Google the Linux watch, you see how crazy it looked at that time, and people thought I was controlling spaceships from the air. Some of my friends were,
Facts.
because of the way it looked. But I said, watch, in 10 years, you guys are gonna be wearing smartwatches. Watch what I tell you. Because I thought it was cool that I could play MP3s on my wrist.
No, facts.
And now look, everybody wants an iWatch or a Samsung watch now.
You said that just
so
slowly but surely, like you said, it's all finally getting, technology's finally getting there. The speed, the power, the cell phone got much power as a mainframe did in the 60s in your pocket. So yeah, so it's just so much better. 100%.
So there's no reason to fail in this industry, folks. No reason.
No.
It's all right here.
And we 1 million people short in cybersecurity. We 1 million people short in tech. So just getting the first thing is just getting your foot in the door. Once you get your foot in your door, you can get to running. You can pivot to a lot of things. I started off as a programmer, then I went to a DBA, then I went to a web and app admin. But 2 is when you do as a programmer, you put your stuff on hardware. So that's how I got good at Linux, because I had to spend a patching Tomcat up to test my app, right? So then I start connecting to database. So now you can become an architect, right, or a CTO, because you understand the whole technology stack. So
you know what helped me learn Linux? It was forced. So funny story. Well, I got grounded for downloading Partition Magic over dial-up, so the phone bill went up. So you're on mute. But
yeah, facts. I've done that. But you like me, you have to go to sleep and hope it downloaded the next day. It was so big, it took forever over dial-up, man.
And I downloaded it over RFC, so the DCC.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I finally got it, right? So I didn't know much about partitions or anything. So I was like, oh, I want to try Linux, and I'm gonna install. I'm a dual boot. I was trying to dual boot, and I said, oh, I don't need this fat file system. Let me delete this. And I deleted fat, and I came back. When I rebooted my machine, I was at a Mandrake Linux prop. And this is how much I believed in Linux at the time. I actually bought Mandrake from Best Buy for $29.
Oh wow.
8 CDs. And that's just I call myself helping the cause for open source.
No.
just so. And I woke up to a command prompt, and what was crazy, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to connect to the internet, so I had to use a separate computer to figure out how to even do a start X.
Yep.
And then come to find out, that's how I learned that, oh my gosh, you have a Lin modem. You have a Windows modem. You need a modem that supports Linux. So now I had to learn how to recompile the kernel and do all this other crazy stuff just to get things to work.
That's how you get good,
So
though, because you, like you say, you
that's
at
when the journey
you
was.
at low level, man. You at the low level. So
I call it 2,000 leagues under the sea.
I was just lucky because the jobs I working at was using Linux, so I just got to kind of do it on my job. Actually, I started with Vax. Then Vax is kind of similar to Linux because it's all command prompt, right? So then when I got over, so it was like, okay, I'm used to command prompt because I did Vax forever. So then once I jumped over there, I just got lucky for using Linux. Then once I became an Oracle DBA, I worked with this old guy. He didn't let you use point and click because if something went down and we had to go on site, you might not have a GUI. So he made us do everything from the command prompt. So my first 3 weeks, I didn't get nothing done. He knew I wasn't gonna get nothing done. So I just kind of learned the hard way because you got to do everything. You got to BI, you got to CD, you got to start it, you got to just all of that. So that's how I learned, just by brute force. So I'm right there with you.
And then shout out again to Northrop Grumman. Only thing we could use was Corn Shell, VI, and Perl. If Corn Shell didn't handle it, you had to use Perl. Here's the thing, because we had to make it run on Solaris, AIX, and IRIX.
Okay, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, remember IRIX?
I do.
Yeah, so we had to make it run on those platforms, like whatever script that you were making, you had to do that. And we did every aspect of Unix with DHCP, DNS. I did Trusted Solaris. So we used every aspect of the Unix operating system.
Yep, that's kind of how we was. I just worked. The cool thing though, I worked on a big team, and my boss was like a Corn Shell guru, and I got one of the top guys in the Midwest on Red Hat. I'm going to interview him on my team. So he always kind of set that up for us. This guy was so cold. We was at a client site. He, you got a sudo for your privileges. He did something in his regular account by accident. He was surprised he could do it. He calls me up and goes, PBO, you're going to see me in the logs. These are things I did. I wrote it up. So if you see something, I'm like, dude, we ain't that mature. We can't track you like that. But he's so knowledgeable that he know that was wrong. So he wrote it up himself. He was giving himself a write-up because he used his regular account to do some admin stuff. I was like, nah, man, we good. Don't worry about it. So that's how good this dude is. So I was going to bring him on and talk about sudo access rights, how you have users that can't log in. The only way you can get through them from sudo, so they can't get to the internet, and talk about that Red Hat / Linux type privileges from a DoD perspective. So,
and to answer the question, yes, this is live.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Ty, we live, Ty. That's funny, because I come on at weird time. I just wake up and like, I'm gonna go live in 5 hours. So now, shout out to Ty, definitely one of the day ones. Let me know if you want to come up, Ty. You can come up. But nah, like you said,
Ty's that guy.
Yeah, he out there grinding, penitentiary world, red team world, trying to get in the mix. So he doing big things. So making progress.
We all trying to grind, just trying to make it, man. That's it. Like just it's so many things to explore. Like oh my gosh. Like I woke up this morning. It's crazy. I woke up at 3:00 this morning, right? And I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I think I figured out how to inject into the mobile app that I was testing. I figured out how to inject and try to dump the keys.
Okay.
Dump the iOS keys.
Okay.
But I'm waking up with that on my mind.
No, I'm with you.
It's just like, what is happening?
No,
but you know what? I feel like young Charles will never go away. It's emerged. I mean, I was like that in college, and just waking up and just at the time, Perl was the fun language for me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was so cool to write Perl scripts that did stuff for me on IRC.
No, facts.
And I still use IRC to this day.
No, I'm with you. I'm the same way. Shout out to my man Addy in the box. Go subscribe to him. Let me find him.
Yeah, drop that link. I will definitely subscribe.
Too, you should come up with your YouTube channel, man, so I can pump you up, man. You need to go on and get your YouTube
You
channel.
know what? I need to get it. I do need one, man.
Yeah.
I gotta get it. I gotta get it
Get it
right.
going.
It's been a
You can
minute.
definitely come up here. We'll promote you, get you up there, get you 1,000, so you could be like me, get you some barbecue money. We gonna get you some barbecue money. So yeah,
get that barbecue money.
get you some barbecue
Yeah,
money. I make about $50
my
a
cousin
month.
will love
So
that.
yeah, I get about $50 a month. So you come on, get you some barbecue.
There you
money.
go. There you go. Look, my cousin would love that because I buy barbecue sauce from him. He makes the homemade barbecue sauce. So I stay reading up.
Yeah.
Shout out to Monster Sauce out in South Carolina.
Yeah, shout out to Monster Sauce. Give us some plug. We sponsored by Monster Sauce today. We gonna get
Monster Sauce.
PBO is sponsored by Monster Sauce today. Go check him out in Carolina. But shout out to Casual Comments. I like that. You could be the Deacon of Defense, blue team.
Deacon of Defense? Oh, man. He done made me a preacher. Now I'm a deacon. So I got the pat. I'm the programmer's pulpit. That's what we call it.
Deacon Jones in the 60s, the big time linebacker defense of the blue team.
For the Rams.
Yep. For the blue team.
Yeah, for the blue team.
At the Church of PBO.
The Church of PBO.
Shout out to us. Shout out
that's right. We programming the pulpit. We are ushering URLs. We out here.
Putting in work. Putting in work.
Exactly. We got the choir singing Cobalt. His praises. Oh, man.
We're doing it today. We're doing it today.
Oh yeah. The doors of PBO are open.
Facts.
Will you come on up?
Facts. I like that. I like that. We're getting that GRC life today.
Right? Yep.
That GRC life today.
Exactly. We're gonna open up our hymnals.
Y'all keep throwing the questions in. We're gonna wrap it up in a minute. We're gonna take a few more questions though. We almost been on for those hours today, so we gonna wrap it up. So last couple questions in there. If you need me, just Professor Black Ops at gmail.com. You go to my about page on YouTube, click that "You're a Human" button, and that email will pop up. So definitely come check us out. So definitely.
Yeah, you know he prepared for AI. He said, "Hey, you got to make sure you got to be a human to send me something."
Facts. So
humans only.
Yeah, so that's probably what I'm gonna do. My next one on is AI. AWS is trying to catch up in the AI world. ChatGPT got everybody off running, so AWS got trying to catch up, get everybody running. So
yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And we got Casual Economist. That you have been hilarious.
That's my man.
Yes.
That's my man. I have to go check them out on my other guy. Yeah, my other guy, Young Guy's channel. We used to be over there all the time. So it's a lot of good people.
Yeah, shout out to Keeping It Techie.
Oh yeah, he got me started. Yeah, he got me started on YouTube. Yeah, shout out to Keep It Techie on the Linux game. He got me really started. I appreciate
shout
you,
out to Davin Jackson.
Oh yes, really. He did a 3-hour interview with me. He the one got me interviewing people that I gotta up my game. Appreciate you, D Stu, for the barbecue fun. I appreciate you. Pass around
the collection plate.
I appreciate you. Go add that to the barbecue fun. That'll be for.
That's it. The barbecue fun.
Yeah, that'd be
the programmer's paradise. What is it? Retreat. Programmer's retreat.
Programmer's retreat. So we appreciate you, D Stu. If you need anything, just reach out to me, email. We can chat offline if you want to dig into it a little deeper. Like I said, I just think you need to kind of drill down into a specific domain. And there, the solution architect search is definitely a good start. but a lot of times they're going to ask you what have you put in production, and different labs you need to become accustomed to. It's like you're in production, so you can get comfortable with those. Well,
Oh yeah.
I appreciate you, Charles. I think I'm gonna shut it on down. I appreciate everybody for joining me. You can definitely come up and be a regular, man. If you anytime, any places, I'm always dropping a link. You definitely dropping some
Okay.
gems today, so you can always come on up, man. No problem.
All right, my brother. Yeah, definitely look forward to that. You know, if I catch you live, I'll hop on.
Definitely hop on it. If you need me, just hit me up, professorblackOps@gmail.com. Like you said, we definitely got that DoD pedigree background. So if you ever need me, sound like
Yep.
you can reach out to me and we can chat it up. And two is I got a whole bunch of DoD videos in a playlist, so for compliance.
Yeah.
So I'm out, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody, TGIF, everybody have a good Friday tomorrow. It's almost here. I think I'm gonna watch a little of this football and call it a night. I am tired. I appreciate for everybody for
I hear
joining
you.
me. Everybody have a good night. I appreciate you, Charles. I'm out. Everybody have a good night. I'm out of here.
Yeah, same here.
All right.
Ow! Yep, yep. Let's go.
I see y'all, buddy.